Motocross here. We're at Perris Raceway for kind of a unique shootout. We're comparing the two KTM full-size bikes, the 2016 450SX-F versus the 350SX-F. So the 450 pretty much swept our shootout this year, earned Bike of the Year honors, and we didn't include 350 in it because if you include 350 KTM, you have the 350 Husky, and then that's an 8-bike shootout. Who can ride 8 bikes in one day? So basically our plan all along was to take the 350 KTM versus the winner of the shootout, and that just so happens to be the KTM. So today is orange bike versus orange bike. We already have one day under our belts at Cahuilla yesterday, and the results were kind of surprising. There's some interesting lap time results. And, so today we're at Perris, which is a tighter hard pack track with a lot of jumps, and so we're just going to basically put the bikes through their paces with 4 different riders of 4 different abilities and ages, and see what bike is the best overall for a ride.
After 2 days of riding these bikes, I kind of came in like thinking I was gonna like the 450 a little better, just because, you know, the power, and they're kind of in the same group. Like, you put the 350 in the 450 group along with all the other 450s. So I kind of figured I'd like the 450 a little better, just because it's super fast and has a lot of power. Like, once you shift up into those higher gears, like 4th and 5th, it flies. So I came in thinking I was gonna like that, but I ended up preferring the 350. It just seems to be a little quicker, like kind of like squirts out of the turns a little quicker. It's a little bit lighter, and you don't notice like the weight as much, but like the inertia the bike has, like the power of the 450 almost kind of like weighs it down a little bit, and then the 350 kind of has that, like, it almost feels like it's like in better shape. Like, it just kind of squirts and zips out of the turns. And even though the 450 might have more torque, I think the 350, you can kind of leave it in that gear a little bit longer, and leave it in like second, a little longer coming out of the out of the turns. And with the 450, you might have to shift a little quicker just to get the same like speed and same drive coming out. But I think the 450, where you see that power that bike has, is on a fast track where you're in those higher gears, because all the power's up in the motor, like up in the top end. So overall, I think the 350 is just a funner bike. You can kind of like throw it around a little more. It's a little more forgiving. I think that's a big thing too. Like, it's easier to ride. I think if you really wanted to, you could go faster on the 450, just because it has that extra little bit of power. But the 350, it's just a little more forgiving, like I said, and just fun. And I had a great time, and it was really enjoyable.
Hi, my name's Dave BLUNK. I've been out here testing the KTM 450 versus the 350. We've tested at 2 tracks. The first one was Cahuilla, and the second one was here at Perris. And I felt really comfortable on both bikes at Cahuilla. One of the things that I noticed was the track was really rough, and I hadn't been there in a long time, and so it was very surprising, and I rode really tight. But I felt good on both bikes at that track. And then here at Perris, I felt really comfortable right away on the 350. And I felt a little bit uncomfortable on the 450 because I thought the power was a little bit much, and I was struggling timing the jumps. And it felt a little heavier in the corners. So I was really surprised about the lap times. After I saw the lap times, and I realized that I was 3 seconds or so faster on the 450, one of the questions they asked me is, what would you pick between the two? And obviously, since I'm a racer, I would pick the 450 because I could not justify in my mind going to the line, leaving something in the bag. And then the other thing they were asking me was, on the 350, what bike would I pick for a play bike? And obviously I would pick the 350 with my friends because it's way easier to ride and turns easy, jumps easy. You don't have whiskey throttle issues. It's just funner to ride. But in my case, I'm a lugger type of a rider. I like to lug the bike, and I think that's why the 450 just works for me better lap times wise. So that was my conclusion between the two bikes.
Hey, this is Rich Taylor with Transworld Motocross out here at beautiful Perris Raceway. We just got done kind of comparing the 450 KTM with the 350. Super cool test actually, just to kind of ride them back to back with no other distractions. You kind of really learn a lot about the two bikes and which one does what good and what does what bad. Yesterday we were at Cahuilla Creek. That track was a lot faster. It was actually incredibly fast. It got really rough. There were quite a few people out there. Choppy, kind of slippery, and just super fast. What I noticed there is even though my lap times were comparable on the two bikes, I had to ride the 350 a little bit harder to get that lap time. You know, I know if I rev it real hard and ride it sort of like a 250, that's when that bike really shines, and it works really well. The 450, you can be more lazy. You can, you know, you get tired, you can still just grab a handful and get to where you need to be a little bit quicker. Here at Perris, the track's much tighter, ruts, tighter turns, obviously more jumps, stuff like that. I really noticed here how the 350 has a little bit better kind of roll-on power. So in these kind of rutted, tighter turns, you know, the 450, you come in and you kind of tool through it and then grab a handful out, where the 350, you can kind of get on the power, just crack the throttle and it'll actually go forward. It sounds kind of funny, but you know, the roll-on power is really important in some of these rutted corners to kind of keep your speed up and to get around them. And then you can just rev the crud out of it coming out of the corner, because that's what the 350 really does. You can rev it much harder than the 450 and it'll keep pulling. The other thing that's kind of unique is the weight. The weight between the two isn't much. They're both about the same, I think, maybe a couple pounds, but actually when you're on the track, the 350 feels quite a bit lighter. And I think that's part of that kind of roll-on initial part of the power band, kind of makes it feel like it's a little bit lighter. You can it feels like a little bit quicker in and out of the corners. The 450 here, you know, again, you get out of the rut or something, you can still just grab a handful and get back up to where you need to be. Which one do I like better? You know, I don't know. I still like the 450s. I feel like I can be more lazy on it. I don't have to be in as good a shape to go as fast as I need to maybe go. So you can, you know, like I said, you can grab a handful and get to go where you want to go. But the 350 is a great bike. It's you know, like I said, my lap times were comparable on the two. I just felt like I needed to ride it a little bit harder to get those lap times. That's about it, man. It's pretty cool just to see how the two work differently with just you know, with the difference in CCs and just how they effectively work different off the jumps and in the air and in the turns, and you know, they both do their own thing, and they both have their good points and their bad points. But overall, I'm still kind of a 450 guy, but the 350 is pretty badass, man.